This fake TikTok dentist spent years flexing a luxury lifestyle online, drilling into people's teeth without a license, selling 2-day veneer certifications with mimosas included, and he thought he was untouchable until prosecutors dropped a 113 count indictment on him.
I was there as investigators raided Brandon Dillard's Northeast Atlanta dental office. It looked like the real thing. He had more than 157,000 followers on Instagram, but this new indictment charges him with 113 different charges, including RICO, 51 counts of theft by deception, and 21 counts of battery.
Yes! This couldn't have happened to a better person. Thankfully, there's now one less scumbag drilling into people's teeth without a license. But the wildest part of the story is if you add up all the charges and he gets the max sentence, he's literally facing 888 years in prison. Obviously, he won't get that, but that's still a diabolical number for a fake TikTok dentist. The dude just couldn't stop documenting himself, breaking the law, and allegedly hurting so many victims. But this is definitely not the first time this guy's shown up here on this channel. But this time, I'm actually able to say he's officially been hit with a whole bunch of charges. And it's definitely not a small amount either. 113 counts, which is more than I think we've covered ever. Maybe? Have I ever covered someone getting hit with 113 counts? I don't think so. But today I'm talking about Brandon Dillard, the man who promoted himself online as Atlanta's top veneer specialist. Dillard was running a multi-million-dollar unlicensed dental operation for years, and a grand jury returned an indictment with counts including violations of Georgia's RICO Act, dozens of counts of theft by deception, and multiple charges relating to practicing dentistry and medicine without a license. And Georgia's RICO Act is basically a law that lets procedures charge someone for running an ongoing criminal operation. But not just one isolated crime. Basically, it's used when the state believes a person committed repeated illegal acts as a part of their business scheme. So typically you see it in organized crime cases, but this time it's for a fake veneer scheme. His arraignment is scheduled for this month, January of 2026, and at the time of recording this video, the actual date isn't scheduled. But what I do know is that the state is treating this as an organized crime enterprise. So it doesn't seem like they're gonna be going too easy on him. And what makes this update especially wild is the timing, because I had to go catch up on what Brandon has been up to recently since we last covered him. And it's safe to say the dude has not been laying low at all. Because right up until these charges landed, he was still posting nonstop online. Luxury cars, designer clothes, high-end lifestyle meant to show off, I guess, success and confidence and status. But in reality, it seems like he's just an insecure man who might have made his riches from illegally drilling into people's teeth. So while prosecutors were out there building a case that stretches all the way back to 2021, Brandon was still on social media posting like nothing was ever happening. And the sick part of this is, according to investigators, that money came from people who trusted him with their teeth. And now he has potentially permanently altered their teeth forever. The dude is a prime example of someone who needs to get backhanded by the law. But if you have not heard of Brandon Dillard before, here's a short version of him. He operated under the name of A-List Smiles Atlanta and claimed to be a veneer technician, a title that legally does not even exist. It's made up on TikTok to sell awful dental services to people who don't know better, unfortunately. And we've been covering him for years here on this channel, because if you know anything about me, I hate social media scammers. I despise people who use their online platforms to hurt strangers who trust them. And also, he offered cosmetic dental procedures at a fraction of the cost of a licensed dentist, and also sold expensive training courses to teach others how to do the same thing. So all of this is taking advantage of how incredibly expensive the US, I guess, medical and dental care is, which makes these schemes even more sinister because he's targeting desperate people that cannot afford real dental health care. And obviously, when he inevitably wrecks their teeth, they then have to go to real dental health care and get their stuff fixed after they paid him a whole bunch of money. So then they have to pay the real cost plus the tax of paying for his scam. But these guys do this shady business crap. They get a whole bunch of money and they can't help themselves when it comes to selling courses. So of course it's not enough scamming people and, you know, drilling on people's teeth when you don't even have a license. Now they have to figure out, oh, well, I could make more money by teaching other future scammers how to do this. So we can just wreck way more people's teeth together. Wow. Again, these guys deserve to get backhanded by the law. But at this point, I feel like it's just kind of like a pipeline because shady businesses almost always equal to shady courses, because those courses promised fast money and quick success, all without dental school, licensing, or medical oversight. So essentially, as I said previously, he was teaching other people how to illegally wreck people's teeth. And to make things even worse or better, because at least now he's getting caught, the dude was an idiot. He was not subtle about anything at all. He posted procedures online. He marketed everything directly on TikTok and Instagram. Hence why I kept calling him a TikTok dentist or a TikTok veneer tech, because that's what he was calling himself, because, you know, he legally couldn't call himself a dentist, but therefore he came up with the loophole of being like, guys, I'm a veneer tech. It's not only him. There's a whole bunch of them on TikTok. Hopefully they're scared now. But he showed off his results, client reactions, and behind the scenes content like it was just like any other influencer business. And for a long time, apparently it worked, because people flew from out of state and paid thousands of dollars. But law enforcement says that this was all never legitimate. Prosecutors allege that Dillard performed damaging dental procedures, trained others to do the same, and collected millions of dollars while knowing he was not legally allowed to do any of it. And I swear, every time I cover his cases, my teeth start phantom hurting just by imagining him shaving down people's teeth and sticking cheap veneers from AliExpress, by the way. That is complete speculation, by the way, but it seems like that's true, because one of my previous videos covering him, we found the set of teeth that they were shilling in their courses, and it looked identical to the one they were selling on AliExpress. So imagine paying thousands of dollars to get the AliExpress special in your teeth that you now have to live with forever. Yeah, no. And what makes this stuff even worse is, like, you had a bunch of dentists screaming at TikTok saying, hey, these guys are putting veneers on decayed teeth, which, you know, is an absolute nightmare and could be life-threatening. And that's exactly what prosecutors were saying as well, because they were saying that their patients were put at risk, not just financially, but medically as well. Patients were sharing horror stories about infections, broken teeth, and massive repair bills. And still, the operation just kept going. In fact, it grew so much that prosecutors say that this went on for years. From 2021 through late 2024, he brought in millions of dollars.
Last fall, we watched Brandon Dillard appear from jail before a judge. Dillard called himself Atlanta's top veneer specialist, but Fulton County District Attorney Fonnie Willis calls him a dangerous criminal.
This is an illegitimate operation.
Last October, we were the only media there as investigators raided A-List Smiles Atlanta. Prosecutors allege that Dillard pocketed more than $4 million from 2021 to 2024, while the indictment alleges patients suffered damage to their teeth and mouths. Last year, Christy Brown told me she paid Dillard $3,000 for veneers her dentist immediately noticed problems with at a cleaning.
The way it was put on, he just kept asking who did this.
Brandon Dillard is not a dentist. As much as he may want to play one on Instagram, he is not one.
$4 million. You have to own a very large dental practice as a legitimate dentist to make that kind of money. Like, don't get me wrong, dentists make good money, especially if they own their practice, but to get to $4 million in what, 4 years, that's $1 million a year, that's a pretty big practice. So he was making well over what most actual dentists was when he wasn't even an actual dentist, probably because he focused on the cosmetic dentistry and sold all of these courses. Also, you know, maybe, you know, he allegedly also bought the teeth that he used as veneers from AliExpress. So the cost of goods that he was selling was very cheap, allegedly again. But honestly, at this point, things are just kind of predictable. Like, because this kind of scam survives for so long in plain sight, because when something looks, I guess, confident enough, people stop asking the basic questions, which is probably why, even though he was in a whole bunch of legal trouble, he still posted stuff like this.
Y'all be popping out with Chanel bags, but we never see you in the store. We never see you with the champagne. We might not even get to see an unboxing. Mind you, y'all be like, come with me to get my nails done. Come with me to do a Sephora haul. But that Chanel bag, you didn't say come with me to get a Chanel bag. That bag is fake news. Stop the cat. Sorry, but
like, why would you post stuff like that in the middle of an ongoing case? The only good thing about this case is at least he's a dumb criminal who snitched on himself. Like, the dude is being investigated for organized crime, and then he's posting videos about how much money this alleged organized crime made him. Please, someone explain the logic to me. Like, a part of me thinks that he was posting all these videos and buying all this stuff to have one last, I guess, life of luxury feeling before he gets locked up. But he probably realized, or his legal team realized, this was an awful idea, so he's now deleted all the videos I'm now currently showing. So I'm just saying, if I I can save these videos before they're deleted, then the prosecutors can as well. Because the dude got all this money from a job title that technically doesn't exist legally. Because again, there's no such job as a veneer technician. There's no license to get to become a veneer technician. And it's not a recognized role in dentistry in Georgia or anywhere else. That term exists almost entirely on TikTok because it sounds official enough to make people lower their guard. Real cosmetic dentists spend years in school and then years more learning how to do veneers safely. This is not some 2-day course with mimosa kind of thing, because veneers permanently alter the structure of your teeth. They involve grinding, shaping, bonding, and managing how your bite comes together. One small mistake can lead to infections, nerve damage, gum disease, or long-term tooth loss. This is why dentistry is regulated and why only licensed professionals are legally allowed to perform this kind of work. And the reason veneer tech scams spread so easily is cost, because, you know, real veneers are extremely expensive. They can cost anywhere from hundreds of dollars per tooth to into the thousands. And those prices scare people away. So now you have veneer techs filling the gap by offering way cheaper alternatives, but in return, you're getting the worst work done. And very likely teeth straight from AliExpress. And experts have been warning about this for years. Dentists have said over and over again that these procedures are irreversible and that unlicensed providers often glue veneers over existing decay or infections. And people end up paying so much more later on to undo the damage, sometimes losing teeth entirely in the process. So veneer technicians often display certificates, waivers, and, you know, other stuff they got from their 2-day mimosa veneer technician course. And that's to appear legitimate, but in reality, they're all just frauds. I hate this place. I hate that people can just do this to other people, which is why I'm screaming as loud as I can to make as many people aware of these scams. But according to prosecutors, Brandon Dillard didn't just perform these procedures himself. He also sold training courses to teach others how to do the same. Students paid thousands of dollars to learn a skill that could get them sued or charged with a crime as well. So, you know, the charges just keep stacking on him. We got 113 to be exact. But a lot of his victims from the courses later came forward saying they were scammed into believing this is a real career path, only to find themselves facing their own legal trouble when dental boards stepped in. So come on, guys. But this is why authorities are treating this as organized crime, because from their perspective, it looks like an organized operation built around illegal medical work, which explains the RICO charges. Because even with arrests and indictments, veneer tech content is still all over TikTok somehow. How is this happening still? While digging through all this, I found another creator who posted a full 6-part story time about how she was scammed into becoming a veneer tech herself. And she claims that she was sold the same dream that many others were. The whole fast money, legitimate sounding title, and promising that this was a real skill that you could turn into a business.
Hey y'all, this is my story time on how I got scammed into becoming a veneer tech and lost, well, I want to say $2,500, but overall it was like a $5,000 investment, and I got sued. Let's start there. I got sued today by North Carolina Board of Dental Examiners.
Guess what? Fast money will always hurt you in the long run. You don't want any of that, because nothing in life is free. Real dentists get paid a whole bunch of money because guess what? It's not easy nor cheap to get through dental school. But then she was invited to attend a course herself. She took classes where she said that everyone talked over each other, but by the end, she was given a certificate for completing the course. Nightmare. This is a nightmare situation. You don't want any of these people working on your teeth. And she was then given a list of items to get to start putting veneers on people's mouths. And here she got everything off of eBay and Amazon. Come on. She also did a set on her boyfriend and her family and even made an Instagram. Again, come on. The comments, I agree with the comments here because everyone's roasting her, saying that maybe you should have done a little bit of research yourself. At no points did any of this feel too good to be true. But obviously, just like everyone else, she got hit with a lawsuit because of this. But the only thing she had to do was sign a statement saying that she would no longer practice putting veneers on people. But she lost about $5,000 in the investment process. So it's safe to say that 113 charges is a whole lot worse than what she got.
And then he brought somebody else in for us to practice on. And he really had us sitting there and using these tools and telling us what to do and how to do these veneers. Now, the second class lasted about 4 hours, and then he gave us all these certificates. So it says certificate of completion. Our company is pleased to be able to award this certificate to my name right here upon the successful completion of composite veneers. It says the date. It says his name, Devon Odueso, and it says that he's an instructor. And they gave us these with the frame and everything. And was like, congratulations, you're now a veneer tech, yay!
So in Brandon's case, authorities are urging anyone who received services from him or participated in training programs to come forward. And that alone tells you how wide they believe this operation was. Because when prosecutors ask for victims and trainees to contact them, it usually means they believe there's a whole bunch of people affected here. And to be clear, no one has been convicted yet, and any sentence would also come after a trial or a plea deal. And that said, obviously the charges Brandon are facing is very serious. Georgia's RICO charge alone can carry 5 to 20 years in prison per count. You know, if you actually add everything up, he's facing 888 years in prison, which is just diabolical. But in cases like this, sentences often depend on how many victims are actually confirmed and how much money was actually involved. But either way, it's safe to say that Brandon is now looking at a whole bunch of tough years ahead. So please, guys, just because someone has a whole bunch of followers online, don't trust them to do medical work on you. But hey, drop a like on this video if you want me to actually pull up this trial and cover it from start to finish like I do with so many of the other cases. If you're new here, feel free to subscribe, and I'll see you guys in the next video, because right now I gotta catch a flight because I'm gonna cover another trial. Peace.